Hello, everyone. My name is Franzica Bethia, and today I'll be presenting my family case study titled Exploring Family Dynamics Under Poverty, a Comparative Analysis of Family Systems and Feminist Theory. This presentation focuses on a hypothetical family experiencing chronic poverty and caregiving strain, and how two theoretical frameworks help us understand their challenges. The Johnson family consists of a 67-year-old grandmother who has become the primary caregiver for her two grandchildren, Ava, who is 12, and Jaden, who is 8. Their biological mother is intermittently present due to housing instability, trauma, and possible substance use. The family lives in an urban low-income community with limited transportation and food access. This family is dealing with chronic school absenteeism, utility shutoffs, food insecurity, and a lack of consistent structure. Ava, the older child, has become highly parentified and takes on many adult responsibilities. Jaden often appears tired and struggles with hygiene and academic consistency. The grandmother is loving and committed, but is overwhelmed due to her age and her own health issues. I selected family systems theory and feminist theory because together they give us both a micro and macro understanding. Family systems theory explains how the family interacts internally, while feminist theory helps explain why they face such heavy burdens due to gendered expectations and structural inequities. Using both allows us to understand the family's dynamics as well as the larger societal forces shaping their experience. Family systems theory views the family as an interconnected emotional system. The core assumption is that patterns, not individuals, create and maintain family struggles. Key concepts include subsystems such as the caregiver-child relationship, boundaries and whether they're rigid or diffuse, triangulation between family members, and homeostasis, meaning the family tries to maintain balance even when the patterns are unhealthy. In this family, we see several systems patterns. The grandmother is over-functioning, taking on more responsibility than she can manage. Ava is a parentified child, acting as a junior adult. Jaden becomes the identified problem child, but his behavior is really a symptom of the instability around him. When the biological mother comes and goes, she disrupts the home's emotional balance. The sibling subsystem is the strongest part of the system and offers emotional protection. One limitation of family systems theory is that it does not directly address racism, poverty, gendered expectations, or structural oppression. These factors heavily influence the Johnson family's functioning, but FST focuses mostly on the internal relationships. That means we must be careful not to blame the family for adaptive behaviors driven by poverty. Some strengths of family system theory include identifying role distortions, improving communication, and helping families reorganize routines. However, it can overlook the impact of structural violence, food deserts, or unaffordable housing. It may also unintentionally pathologize families who are actually doing their best under extreme stress. Feminist theory takes a different approach. It emphasizes how gender, power, and oppression shape family life. Families do not operate in a vacuum. They're deeply affected by societal expectations, generational trauma, and unequal access to resources. Key concepts include gendered labor, power imbalances, intersectionality, and the effects of poverty and oppression. Through this lens, we see how the grandmother's caregiving burden reflects gendered expectations that women, especially older women, fill the gaps when systems fail. Ava's parentification mirrors gendered norms that girls become the emotional caretakers, and the mother's struggles with housing and trauma are shaped by structural inequities rather than individual failure. Feminist theory explicitly addresses race, class, gender, culture, and social justice. It recognizes how low-income families of color face multiple layers of inequality. This theory validates the lived experiences of marginalized communities and exposes the systemic barriers that contribute to family instability. The strengths of feminist theory include its strong social justice focus, its commitment to empowerment, and its ability to explain how structural oppression shapes family functioning. However, it may not examine internal family patterns as closely, and it is less structured for detailed clinical work without pairing it with another theory. When we compare the two theories, family systems theory helps us understand how the family interacts, organizes itself, and maintains stability under pressure. Feminist theory helps us understand why the family experiences chronic strain due to gendered expectations and socioeconomic oppression. One focuses on micro level relational systems, the other focuses on macro level structural realities. Together, they offer a more complete and compassionate assessment. Using both theories together allows us to stabilize routines and boundaries through systems theory, and address structural harm, caregiver burdens, and resource needs through feminist theory. This dual approach is especially important in urban social work practice, where families face both relational challenges and systemic inequities. In practice, this means avoiding deficit-based thinking and recognizing that many behaviors are adaptive survival strategies. We would work to support the grandmother, reduce Ava's parentification, and ensure Jaden receives the structure he needs. We would also advocate for material support, including food assistance, transportation, and school resources. This integrated theoretical lens helps us be both clinically effective and socially aware. So in conclusion, family systems theory and feminist theory each bring valuable insights to this case. Systems theory explains the internal patterns, while feminist theory explains the external pressures. Together, they allow us to understand and support this family in a holistic, trauma-informed, and anti-oppressive way.